If you're watching this video, you're likely constantly looking for a change and struggling to break free from laziness and procrastination. Stay calm. By the end of this video, you'll know how to discipline your habits and organize your routines efficiently, helping you to achieve a mental clarity that will give you more focus on your dream goals and objectives. To be clear, it's not just about motivation, it's about understanding how habits work and how to effectively change and discipline them, so you will be able to reprogram your mind and naturally start doing those good habits, such as reading, eating healthy, and working out without even hesitation. Before you want to change your habits and organize those routines, you need to know what a habit really is and how they actually work in your mind. A habit is an unconscious action that takes place in your life every day, and you do it repeatedly because that habit creates a mechanism in your subconscious mind. Habits have been formed as we have been changing certain actions and behaviors in our normal day-by-day from our childhood until now. So our mind gets used to those repetitive actions and starts to subconsciously reprogram itself to form those new habits every day without wondering why. Sometimes you are not able to follow some of these habits because you are out of your comfort zone. Maybe you live for a while in a place that is not your real home, or you are just trying to change some habits directly. That's why if you stop doing things you always do from one day to the next, you feel weird and out of your preferred comfort. People think that eliminating bad habits depends only on strengthening your willpower. Technically, that's true, because to make a change you obviously have to take action. But the reality is that you have to understand how a habit is structured, so you can understand yourself and know what strategies to use to eliminate those bad habits. The structure is basically called the habit loop. When I said that habits create mechanisms, that's what I meant. The habit loop is made up of three factors. Firstly, the cue, which is what triggers the behavior, which can be anything, for example, an emotion or something in your environment. The second factor is the routine, which is the behavior you perform as a result of the cues. That behavior is the actual habit. And not least, there is a third factor, which is the reward. In other words, the pleasure you get from the behavior, or in this case, the routine. Sometimes there is another factor in the equation, which is craving. That craving is the desire to get the reward. It's the motivating force that drives you to repeat that habit over and over again as a habit loop. Therefore, why do we repeat our habits? We repeat our habits because they have created this loop in our subconscious mind, deeply intertwined with our underlying beliefs. These beliefs directly influence our natural behaviors and actions, shaped by our needs, preferences, and various other factors. Essentially, we begin to trust our habits because of this psychological relationship we establish with them. For example, if you firmly believe that brushing your teeth 3 times a day is essential because your doctor advised you to do so, not following this routine or behavior one day may make you feel strange or anxious. This is because you are not following the habit rooted in a firm belief, which makes you feel like you are missing something. In other words, habits create these loops linked to your beliefs, which in turn reinforce the habits themselves. Moreover, compliance with these habits gives you a sense of satisfaction and comfort that drives you to repeat them constantly. So why is it difficult to change those bad habits? Your bad habits tend to have even more emotional comfort rooted in the loop you have created, because you might use them as a way to release negative emotions like stress, anxiety, or boredom. Also, bad habits are ways to experience instant gratification, that with the reward we talked about earlier, where your dopamine levels go up immediately and you feel good. The bad thing is that this gratification lasts only for a little while, so your levels go down and you feel like doing it again because it's easy and very comfortable. For example, after eating McDonald's, you probably felt great, but when you finished a few minutes ago, the pleasure you were feeling quickly faded away. That's why such a deep emotional comfort comes into play and makes it hard to release the dependence you've created with that bad habit. But there are a factor that reinforce this emotional comfort, and that is often the triggers, or rather the cues. Those could be just the same emotions, most likely addiction, but also those can be in your environment. For example, if you are addicted to soda and you always have at least one at your desk, quitting drinking that soda would be hell for you because you always have it there, and drinking that soda is part of your normal routine or behavior. Another good example would be your social influence. If your whole group of friends go out partying every weekend, chances are you have that bad habit because of social pressure and because you may not want to separate yourself from those friends. After this explanation, you probably still have some doubts about the main differences between a good habit and a bad one. So the first difference is how our dopamine levels react in both situations. You now know how it reacts in a bad habit, but in the good ones it's different. Imagine you have a goal to get fit, so you start exercising 3 or 4 times a weekday. The process is really hard and you may not see any results at first, but inside, you know that you are achieving that goal and advancing little by little, and the progress makes you feel that satisfaction that comes from the gradual and balanced levels of dopamine your body is releasing. Therefore, that steady release of dopamine contributes to long-term gratification and well-being. Another difference is the effort required. A bad habit will always be easy, comfortable, and only serves to distract you from your real life, but a good one requires self-control, discipline, and willpower. That's why there are times when you don't feel like doing those good habits and instead you put them aside, making excuses, saying you don't feel good or whatever, and then you regret it because you know what you really should have done. Along with the above differences, an important one is the benefits. While bad habits lack personal benefits, good habits are full of them, such as physical, mental, emotional, productivity, and a very important one that highlights any of those benefits is personal growth. Believe it or not, if you have a day-by-day full of good habits, you will get benefits such as better control of your own daily decisions, and thanks to this, you will be able to modify over time behaviors that were keeping you away from your goals. You will also develop a healthy life and a sense of fulfillment that will enhance all your skills in all aspects of your life. And now I will explain to you how to eliminate those bad habits, which would entail correctly recognizing the 3 components we talked about earlier: the cue, the routine, and the reward. Start thinking about a specific bad habit that you really want to change. For example, you watch a lot of social media. Then think first about the potential cues that are triggering that bad habit. Common cues could be a specific time of day, a specific place, an emotional state, and a preceding action or an action that you combine while performing that bad habit. You're probably not sure, so a good tip for identifying cues is to keep track for an entire week of exactly when you perform the bad habit. I recommend you note the time, the place, your emotional state, who you are with, and what happened just before the habit occurred. If you finally realize that, for example, the most common time you waste time on social networks is around 9 p.m. When you feel overwhelmed after a long day, it means that you have already understood what the most powerful cue of that bad habit is. The second thing is to identify your exact routine. By this, I mean that you should identify the exact behavior you do after the cue occurs, so that you can be self-aware when you are going to do that bad habit. Going back to the example above, it's around 9 p.m., you're overwhelmed, and it's been a long day. So you already know you're going to check social media and waste time. So now you need to identify and write down exactly what behavior you do. In this case, it would be that you look at social media for 2 hours while you are lying in bed eating something. Now it's time for the third and final step, which is to identify the reward, which is the benefit you get from that routine. You will start doing different healthy activities that you think would take away the cravings and overwhelm you right at that time of the day when you feel the cues. This will help you see if any of those activities could satisfy you like that bad habit did before. Let's go back to the example. You changed the bad habit of looking at your cell phone and started meditating for 15 minutes and then drinking tea while reading a book for at least 3 days, and the cravings and overwhelm disappeared all those days. In other words, you tried another healthier activity and it worked because after you put it into practice, you didn't feel cravings for your old bad habit at the end of the day. Following a dopamine fasting program can help control addictive behaviors related to these bad habits. For example, you can start by abstaining from using social media for 1 to 2 hours a day and gradually increase the difficulty. As you increase the time you spend away from these types of overstimulating activities, you will regain control over those bad habits and balance your dopamine levels to where they should be. You can also be more severe and do a complete detox, where you leave all your sources of instant gratification away from you for a day, a week, or even longer. I know it would be painful and require a lot of willpower, but I can assure you that you will become free regardless of anything overstimulating. Basically, dopamine fasting is great for the detox it gives us from all the instant gratification and bad habits we have as human beings. After all we have been through, you can now begin to effectively build the routine of your dreams, including habits committed to your dream goals. It's important to first explain before organizing a routine in order to become the person you aspire to be. You must alter your internal and subconscious beliefs, which will then transform your unconscious behaviors that will shape the new habits you always wanted to have. Putting your goals within your reach. For example, if you want to be fit and become a gym goer, don't just focus on the outcome of having a fit body, nor on simply going to the gym. Instead, identify yourself as an athlete, which entails many things like being disciplined, having commitment, and that you enjoy working out. Over time, this change in your mindset, coupled with consistent effort, will lead you to the fit body you desire and a sense of confidence and satisfaction. To start to create a routine that includes everything you do on a daily basis, categorize all the activities you do and determine if they are useful or a waste of time. This self-assessment can open your eyes and guide you to make the necessary changes. Then you can start prioritizing small daily changes in your habits as they drastically alter your trajectory. For example, if you want to start exercising, don't start with an intense 2-hour session. Instead, gradually increase your effort over days, weeks, or even months. This approach not only makes the habit sustainable, but also helps cut bad habits by replacing them with valuable ones in your same routine. Assign specific times and places to the new habits you want to acquire in your new routine. For example, if you want to start reading, designate the best time you can as your reading time. Find a comfortable place for it and something you can and want to have with you, for example, something to drink. If you make the habit comfortable and accessible, you'll find it easier to stick with it. Another important factor is to make the habits as adjustable as possible, so you can adapt to any changes or circumstances that may suddenly arise in your life, because you will be able to change things within your schedule and accommodate them again. Changing your environment is also crucial. Living in a place optimized for creating good habits can make a significant difference. For example, keep books near your desk to encourage reading and replace soft drinks with water to promote a healthier drinking habit. Overall, it hinders bad habits and facilitates good ones. After you have made progress with your new routine, you can track it. Tracking helps you to be accountable and see how well your new routine is working. You can review and identify areas for improvement, for example. You can check off each day that you adhere to your new habit, which is eating healthy, and then review each Sunday what you have eaten throughout the week. Seeing your progress can boost your confidence and your commitment. My last step is to give you a reward. Rewards reinforce the positives to keep you going and make you more likely to stick with your routine. For example, you can treat yourself to your favorite healthy snack after completing a week of consistent workouts. Remember that if you have a bad day and don't do or complete what you had to do, don't be disappointed. It's not a failure, it's part of the process. A small step forward on a bad day means much more than a big one on a very good day. I wish you all the best. Your favorite old wise man says goodbye to everyone. Take care.